What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Press Coverage, where we help you gain an edge in fantasy football. I'm your host, as always, Wyatt Bertolone. Tonight, with me, my friend, Andrew Cooper from Fantasy Alarm. We're going to be talking about some of our favorite targets on Underdog Fantasy. Now that they've got all the tournaments out and rolling. Coop, how you doing? What have you been working on?
I'm doing great, man. I love when people I like land with places I like. You know what I mean? And you write some stuff for us too. And, little behind the curtains, Wyatt and I talk every day. So when you end up here with a show at Player Profile, I'm like, oh, perfect. I'll just go do a show with a guy I like on a channel I like with a bunch of sharp gamers. Doesn't get any better than that, dude. Doesn't get any better. Doesn't get better.
Well, what have you been working on at Fantasy Alarm? Obviously, a lot of content been coming out in recent times, with the NFL draft. But what in particular have you got going on?
It's so funny because I updated my rookie rankings, our dynasty rankings, and then right after that, I was like, well, we got to get the best ball rankings up because it's best ball season. And then you hit me up and was like, yo, showtime, let's go. Here's what I'm thinking for a topic. This is literally the topic of my next 4 articles, right?
Perfect.
It's underdog value plays. So, and those articles aren't even out yet. So people listening to this, maybe one will be out by the time it's up, but you're getting a sneak preview and all the secret goods. And I'm telling you, ADP right now is a mess. And I looked around the industry, not just myself, where I put a team through to the last day that I drafted in May, but guys like like Chesley, he put 2 teams through they drafted in May. Like there's values to be had now. I'm not saying it's the only time or best time to be drafted, but there's clearly a proven level of success for taking advantage of ADPs now that you can't take advantage of later. So I love it. And my best ball guide is up now. If anybody is not a Fantasy Alarm member, you just want that as standalone value, like $10 or whatever. It's a full every player ranked, and then also a grid based on like ADP of like who I'm taking where. So my thoughts are out there.
Yeah. And speaking of, like what times to draft during the year, a lot of people, talk about when they think is the best time to draft. And there's reasons for drafting at any point in the year. I personally like to spread it out a bit, but drafting early, you want to get some drafts in early because of the potential values. You get that closing line value on certain players. And we're going to jump right into these players that we really like so far, as these tournaments have only been open for a little bit right after the draft, and we're seeing ADPs moving. Some of our favorite values have stayed values. Some of them have not stayed values anymore. But Coop, hit me with your first player.
Yeah, so my guy here, I got to go with Kenneth Walker. Okay, and I have a bit of a conundrum going on. I'd love to get your take on part of this. That I love Alvin Kamara. Everyone knows that. I've been tweeting it out. The guy's top 5 in points per game every year. Every year he gets drafted like running back 15. And the funniest part about it is that week 1 comes around and people just like rank him running back 8 like he should be. I'm like, why were we drafting him like that? But the conundrum I have is that I love Kenneth Walker and they both go in a similar spot. Okay. So my question to you is which way you're going to go. But here's my argument for Kenneth Walker is that this new group coming in, Clint Kubiak and his crew, they are so good for the running game, especially because they utilize the fullback, right? We've seen this scheme in San Francisco. We've seen it in Miami. He brought it to New Orleans Saints with him, and Alvin Kamara was on pace for his first 1,000-yard rushing season. Yes, first 1,000-yard rushing season, all because of this scheme. They drafted a guy with a great fullback named Robbie Oots out of
love it.
I can hear the crowd now, right? Oots, But not only is the scheme great, but this offensive line would have been better this year if they literally just did nothing. Last year, they had so many injuries. One of their guards retired during the season, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like Connor Williams retired during the season. It's like, how can you have any continuity? So then, and the secret weapon that Clint Kubiak has is Rick Dennison, who is like, there's only a few offensive line coaches anyone knows around the league. And their names because they're good. Like Dante Scarnecchia is like, he's retired, but he's like, people know that name, right? Because he's a legend.
Yeah.
Rick Dennison is a legend. They drafted a guard, Gray Zabel, in the first round. I think Kenneth Walker is in prime position to return value at that ADP, which brings me to my question for you. Alvin Kamara or Kenneth Walker, if you're picking from those 2 guys.
Yeah, it's funny when I saw you write Kenneth Walker. This was the question I was going to be basically bringing to you, is because I like Kenneth Walker. The area of running backs he's in, though, it's like a lot of guys that I want to be drafting just in general. To answer your question, I do have Kenneth Walker ahead of Alvin Kamara for basically all the reasons that you just laid out. This system, I think, is going to be perfect for him. That wide zone, I think that's what Kenneth Walker needs to be in, right? Just like find the hole, hit, put a foot in the ground, and get up the field. Kenneth Walker, we know we can do that and do it well. So I do really like that. Yeah, it's just like I haven't gotten that much exposure. Like I'm trying to make sure I stay at least with market, hopefully above market on Kenneth Walker because I do really like him. But it's tough just because of this range of these, and we have some of the top rookies in that range. We've got Alvin Kamara, like you said, so it gets tough to actually get too much of it. But basically, what I've discovered is I just want to be drafting running backs in this area of the draft. Would you agree with that?
It's the sweet spot, man. It falls off a cliff at like 24 or so badly. But like in that 15 to 20 or so range, it's great. And I'll tell you one way I've kind of mentally got around it is when I take Kamara and don't get Walker, sometimes I just circle back and take Zach Charbonnet. Because like Kenneth Walker's gotten banged up in multiple years. Every time Charbonnet starts, he does great. You know, he's not like Alexander Madison, where like sometimes he would do great, sometimes, but like every time he gets that go, he does well. So like and again, it's the system we really like. So if something were to happen, then we'd be looking good there. So yeah, but you're right. That range is really, really nice. There are years where I love like the cheap values. This year I'm trying to get like at least 2 or 3 inside the top 20 or so. Just you feel really good about it.
That's one of the tough things about drafting this early is that there are some RB2 situations that are left unsettled. So you don't have as many late round targets to feel comfortable with at running back. So I'm with you. Like I'm still going to be ended up drafting running backs late sometimes, but I want to make sure it's my 6th running back and it's just, a flyer that I'm looking at for some upside that I feel good about my running back core before we get into the late rounds.
Bingo. Yeah. It's like sometimes I don't mind drafting Nick Chubb when he's my running back 7, but like there are times and you know what's actually happened to me a couple times in my early ones is that I'll draft 3 running backs early and then I'll stop drafting them. And I got to teach myself like, hey, you still need to take, because you need 5 or 6 in most cases. You can get away with 4 if you go real strong. But like I've had a couple times where I wait too long. And then now I am piling on 3 running backs that I don't like onto 3 that I do like. And now I just have a bloated room again. Like if you're going to go heavy on the running back, go hard and sharp and get 3-4 guys and then 1 sleeper type guy you like and then stop. Because I've made that mistake where it's like you get to around like 14 and you have 4 or 5 picks left and you have 3 running backs. It doesn't feel good. And it feels like you just wasted a really strong start. So you can't take your foot all the way off the gas.
Yeah, I'm finding that within like the first 10 rounds, I want to make sure I have at least 3 running backs. Normally 3 running backs is the right spot for there because you need to make sure you're drafting enough wide receivers as well. And 2 of those I want, like in the first 5 to 6 rounds is the way I've been feeling with these, just the way the ADPs have lined up so far this year.
For sure, man. All right, hit us with one. You got one, right?
Yeah, left. My first player, Tetairoa McMillan, T-Mac, as I understand is what he actually prefers to be called. I'm just a big fan of the player, first off. I thought he was the wide receiver 1 in his class, even including Travis Hunter. That might be sacrilegious to say to a lot of people, but like I think we started to discount who T-Mac was because of the hype around Travis Hunter. But right now, he's going basically ADP of 40 overall, wide receiver 22, which I think is a fantastic price for a dude who just went 8th overall to a spot where he's instantly the number 1 target and is going to earn a lot of targets in the offense for Bryce Young, who had that back half of the season resurgence, looking like the prospect we thought he could be when he was coming into the NFL. T-Mac was extremely productive in college, at least 1,300 receiving yards each of his last 2 college seasons, at least 2.8 yards per route run each of those 2 seasons as well. This is a player that we know is really good, can win at the X, is good against press coverage, can also move around the formation, is good after the catch. Like he does everything we want. Yeah, he doesn't have like top line speed like a lot of the best wide receivers in the NFL do. But that's okay. Not all the best wide receivers in fantasy football have top end speed. So he's not going to take the top off of a defense. It's whatever. We know that he can do everything else. We don't need him doing that. He's going to be a massive targeter in this offense, and I love him.
Yeah, there's a ton of guys that thrive on positioning and contested catches like Tet that are not fast. DeAndre Hopkins is not fast. Rashee Rice is not fast. Keenan Allen is not fast. Anquan Bolden was flat out slow. Like by every metric, he played till he was 36 years old because he just knew how to play. And the thing with Tet McMillan is that like people don't like his attitude. They don't like his interviews, whatever, but the guy can flat out play. I mean, people were knocking Jordan Addison because of his interviews, and next thing you know, he's scoring 3 touchdowns in games. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about that. He also, of this like wide receiver group, a lot of it got flattened out by landing spot for the rookies. Like, Ike Egbuka lands with the Bucs, where they already got a Chris Godwin. We already got one. It's like you got Luther Burden. Everyone's calling him, and I don't want to offend anybody in the HH chat, but there were people calling him John Arrington, especially Dynasty Coach A. There were people calling him DJ Moore, not John, but there were people out there calling Luther Burden DJ Moore, and he landed. It's
common comp,
a common comp. I just don't offend anybody that takes offense to that. But he landed with the same team as DJ Moore. You saw, Jaden Higgins landed with Nico Collins, one of his comps. This guy has a clear path, right? I did an article on Xavier Legette. If you type in Fantasy Alarm Xavier Legette, I put GIFs in there because I want people to see what I'm seeing. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
This guy jumps every time the ball comes to him. If he doesn't fix that, he's going to be the players that I've watched. And again, I'm a stat guy first, but like the players I've watched that used to do that are guys like Jonathan Mingo, guys like Preston Williams, guys like Brandon LaFell. Panthers fans can't be happy about that because 2 of those guys played with the Panthers. But like jumping when you don't need to, it not only makes it difficult, it increases the difficulty of the catch, but it makes it so hard to have yak, right? You watch AJ Brown. He doesn't jump unless he has to. I mean, half the time he should be jumping and he doesn't because he thinks he can grab the ball and get more after the catch. If you're jumping, yak is done. And if you look at Xavier Legette, he was outside the top 150 wide receivers in yards after the catch per catch because he was jumping. I don't know what the heck he's doing. So like the competition is him, Adam Thielen, who's up there. Adam Thielen already talking like he's at his own funeral. You see the interviews with him? It's crazy.
Dude's 35. He's up there.
I know, but he's talking. It's like you got to get a little more fired up for the season, my dude. Like if you're gonna play,
hey, he's got a paycheck to go get.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you're gonna play, he's like, oh yeah, I know I'm winding down. I know I'm done. I'm like, come on, we got a season to play. And then Jalen Coker, who I mean, honestly, might be the most exciting of the bunch. So McMillan, clear path. I love that one.
I love the point about players who aren't good at the catch point because I think that's like T-Mac's greatest strength is his strength at the catch point. A lot of players create separation in different ways. T-Mac, he's not going to be the greatest separator in the middle of the route necessarily, but he creates separation at the catch point because he's a hands catcher through and through. He will pluck the ball out of the air, and like you say, he can because of that he's able to then turn those catches into yak opportunities. And I love the player big time.
Yeah, he's going to be great for Bryce Young because they need somebody that can run those intermediate level routes and like be there when the play action is there. And McMillan, he's not fast, but he does plant hard and he can kind of snap guys off a little bit. You know what I mean? Like when with his timing, he can break people off. And that's all you really need for those intermediate guys. Like he doesn't need to really like just cook guys on posts, like that's not what we even want him to do. The guys that end up being those like field stretcher type big guys, that's how you get DJ Chark, or Alec Pierce. I don't want him doing that. I want him running those intermediate comebacks, drags, digs. Those are the type of things he does well. I think that's going to be huge for Bryce Young.
And that's where I think he's going to thrive in this offense. Now we're talking about underdog targets, but that's not the only place where you can play best ball. There's also fast draft. So real quick, we're going to hear from the Podfather about fast draft's origin tournament.
Rookie. It's all about rookie talk in fantasy football right now. So why not go use all that knowledge to do something other than a mock draft? Chris Jimino won $8,000 with just 2 teams last year, and each draft took 5 minutes. That's pretty good ROI. You can start doing rookie drafts for money today on Fast Draft. The Origins tournament is live. It is the place to go and monetize your knowledge of rookies and use your favorite player profiler host promo code for a $25 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
We're back on press coverage. I've got Coop here with me talking about our favorite underdog targets right now. Before we get to his next player, I'll quickly mention I will be having an article come out on Player Profiler detailing a couple of these players and a few more. If you want to check that out, get a little bit more detail about these players. But Coop, your next player, I'm actually
Why?
really
Before we get to
excited
the next
about.
player, I want to say
Oh,
one thing.
Okay,
I
go
actually
for
have
it.
an article coming out. I have an article coming out
Love
this
it.
week.
Let's hear about it.
It's on Fast Draft.
I love it.
Believe it or not, I love the product. Where I'm going to be doing an article on the current Origins tournament, the Gamma tournament, 25 grand prize pool for that one. So I had to write an article on that. So that'll be coming out. You got a promo code for that one for the kids out there?
Podfather's got the promo code for, I believe it is Podfather. Big things happen over at Fast Draft. Lots of drafts happening. Very cool, unique format, unlike Underdog. It's a new version of Best Ball out there for everybody. If you have not tried
It's
out yet,
great.
you should definitely get in on it.
Yeah,
But
it
Coop,
rules. You can rip
let's hear
through
about
it.
this next player.
Yeah. So my next guy here, and again, this player I think has a lot of similarities to Tet McMillan. If they were all in the same draft, I would rank him ahead. I think he got kind of a raw deal last year. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay. And again, the production for certain players compared to where they're picked can be a little unfair, right? Everyone's was expecting this guy to go crazy. Everyone's drafting the second round of drafts, sometimes even at the back end of the first. But he had almost 900 yards. He scored 8 touchdowns. Like, he was solid for a rookie. When you go back and look through the history of rookies in their first year production, I mean, like, not far off from what guys like CeeDee Lamb and better than like a ton of guys like Des Bryant and and Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace. Like this guy, like this is their trajectory for a guy like this. And when I went through and I watched the film on this player, and what I did is I did a couple articles where I went through all the stats and then I watched all 500 routes. It takes quite some time. And I pulled the clips and I turned them into GIFs so you can watch them. That's at Fantasy Alarm. But one thing that lined up on both the film and the stats is that Kyler Murray was not getting through his reads, and one of two things was happening. Everyone knows that he likes to bail on the play and run around, right? And in our minds, that's what he's always doing. But you might be shocked to learn that according to Fantasy Points data suite, he was actually top 3 in the league in getting the ball out of his hands in under 2 seconds. So in a lot of cases, he was just taking a snap and throwing it where? To Trey McBride or to James Conner or whoever. And that is all well and good. But when you watch the games, teams were letting them do that. Teams were letting them take the low-hanging fruit underneath and just coming in and tackling those players. And then next thing you know, it's third down, and next thing you know, the game's over, right? So I think Drew Petzing and the gang have realized that, and they're going to make an emphasis on this. They did. The defense got better, but the offensive line did get a little bit better. And when you look at the actual plays where he was getting through his reads, the completion percentage for Kyler Murray throwing to the secondary target was like 84%. It was literally the highest in the league. It was the highest in the league. When you look at Marvin Harrison Jr.'s receptions when he was the second target, it was 84%. It's like when it worked, it worked. And when you go to a site like Player Profiler and you look at the number of his success versus man-to-man and his route wins, his number of route wins, he's like was top like 10 in the league in total route wins. Like he was winning these routes. Like he's beating guys on digs and drags and intermediate routes. And then he's looking back and Kyler's either already thrown the ball or he's, scrambling around and doing running a 20-second scramble drill. And Marvin Harrison Jr. was actually up there behind only like Jamar Chase in yards on scramble drill plays. So the scramble drills are working. The plays where Marvin Harrison Jr. was the first read, he was actually very close to Trey McBride in the total number of those plays. Those were working. It was just the intermediate plays that weren't. And I can guarantee you, after the investment they've made, that this year Kyler Murray is going to get through his reads, whether they have to force him with play action or some other way. Like, he either does it this year or he's done. Because that's the difference between Joe Burrow and all these guys, right? How many times do you watch Joe Burrow not throw it to a wide open Mike Gesicki because he trusts the playbook and he knows that T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are going to be open at the second level. Like, he doesn't take the low-hanging fruit. That's the next level for Kyler Murray, and he's either going to figure it out or he's going to end up playing baseball.
Yeah, I still believe in the player, Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's still extremely talented. And we found out this offseason that Kyler Murray was dealing with an issue with his knee. I wonder if a lot of this quick throws had to do with the fact that that knee was bothering him. And did that affect Marvin Harrison's development or just his targets in general during his rookie year? We'll never really know, but I'm guessing it at least had a factor in his rookie season, and how quickly he was to just check things down as often as he did.
Yeah, and there in my article that I put up there, I highlighted some negatives too. There's definitely there's things that Marvin Harrison Jr. can improve on, but in my opinion, it's things that can be figured out. Like one thing, he was making really bad contact at the top of his routes, basically running to contact and going right up against the corner, which made it easy for the corner to get you. You either got to push him off or do your move when the guy isn't ready for you. He did a lot of that, but beyond that, I mean, like he was just getting open, flat out getting open. Go ahead. I challenge anybody, if you have like an NFL Pro subscription, to go and watch the routes, because if you just watch the targets, then you're going to see a lot of stuff that you don't necessarily like. But if you watch the routes and just watch the player and forget what the heck Kyler Murray is doing, this guy was getting open. And I think that this year, like at his current ADP, if he has a season like he did last year with 8 touchdowns, he'll still be fine. But I think this year he's easily going to clear 1,000 yards and potentially jump up into that upper echelon.
Yeah, I think he's going to, and I think that the Cardinals need him to. I think it's going to be a part of the offense, more so than it was last year for sure.
Yeah, of course.
All right, my second player, one that I'm sure you know and love because it's Drake Maye. ADP of 120.6 right now on Underdog is QB 15, which is just too low in my opinion. So he started and finished 10 games in 2024. During those 10 games, 17.4 points per game, and what was quite possibly the worst situation for any rookie QB. Horrible offensive line, no weapons to throw to. He was still getting it done. You watch him play, and I mean, Drake Maye was trying to put that entire team on his back, and most weeks he actually was. This offseason, they tried to get in on a lot of wide receivers. Some of them went to other places, but they did lend Stephon Diggs, who I know getting old, coming off an ACL, but this is a significant improvement over what was available to him last year. Then in the draft, Patriots had Will Campbell, Trevion Henderson, Kyle Williams, all in the first 2 days of the draft. These are big improvements for the offense. Will Campbell obviously helps that offensive line immensely. Trevion Henderson is a massive playmaker, both as a runner and a receiver. Kyle Williams is a natural separator or wide receiver and can work after the catch as well. I just love what the Patriots have done. They did exactly what you're supposed to do when you find your franchise QB, and that's you use all of your resources to surround them with as much talent as possible to make sure that they succeed. And I think Drake Maye is going to succeed in 2025. He's a top 12 QB for me. Him being drafted at QB 15, I think, is a massive discount. I don't know why he's getting drafted here. This is like one of those things where I think like the fantasy community is just missing it. Like, I don't know why we're not more excited about Drake Maye. We see this player succeed in a terrible situation. They add weapons. Maybe they're not the weapons that everybody wanted them to have, but this is all here for the taking for Drake Maye.
Yeah, I mean, last year they brought in the Tyler Hughes to be wide receiver coach from Washington. Then they drafted Jalen Polk from Washington, and then they fired Tyler Hughes. And then now that pick looks terrible.
Great.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I fully agree that this year was a big step forward. And to your point, like in my best ball rankings, which are up, you can get them at Fantasy Alarm. I had Drake Maye ranked high, and then my lizard brain was like, "You're being a homer, move him down." But I had nowhere to move him. Like he's where he needs to be. He should be up closer to Bo Nix and Kyler Murray. And here's why.
I agree.
When you go through, and I went through and I pulled up every quarterback that played at least 16 games, because again, there's 17 games now, and I wanted to encapsulate like a full schedule. So 16 games, and that ran 90 times, right? Every quarterback that played a full season and ran 90 times finished as a QB1 for the last like 25 years, except one. It was 2014 Colin Kaepernick, which, I mean, just outlier again. Like we're talking a decade ago, there was an outlier. Every other guy, and I'm talking like rookie Vince Young. People forget he just ran enough. Right? Like Tyrod Taylor had a year where he ran like 100 times. QB 11. Like if you're willing to run the ball, you don't even have to be good at it. You could be Daniel Jones, right? Like you don't even have to be good at it. If you are willing to run the ball, your floor is so high for fantasy football, and your ceiling is incredible. I mean, statistically speaking, in terms of like passing, Josh Allen doesn't really light the world on fire passing the football. He's been no different. Than like Dak Prescott averages more yards per game passing in his career than Josh Allen does. It's all about the running, the willingness to run 100 times, 102 carries for him, 175 million for Lamar Jackson every year, 150 for Jaden Daniels. Like this guy's willing to run. He wants to run, and like they're going to let him. And now he has better weapons. I mean, it's a perfect opportunity in a format where you got to draft multiple QBs, and your QB has to do something special for you to win. That's a fact. You've made it very deep in this. Last year, I finished 226th in Best Ball Mania, which here's the reality that people don't understand. When you finish 226th, you're finishing in the top 1% of this tournament. 672,000 people is 6,000. So 6,000 is the top 1%. 226 is in the top 3% of 1%. I won like $6,000 or whatever, like $8,000. But like, that's not a big prize for this tournament. Like, there are like, if my team just did a little bit better, $1 million. But you got to finish in the top 1% of the 1% to win that money. You need Joe Burrow going crazy. You need Jaden Daniels, who I had, to get you there. Drake Maye is the kind of dude that can go out and throw 3 touchdown passes and run for 2. And that's the difference between you winning $1 million and you winning 500. So like, this is the kind of guy I want on my team. I'm done with the Jared Goffs and the Dak Prescott. Of course, whatever names I say now, we're going to throw 5 touchdowns in the championship week.
Naturally.
But I'm just saying that it's like, you need something special. You need something crazy, dude. Drake Maye offers that. And he's one of your 2 or 3 quarterbacks. So, and you can get him. What'd you say his ADP is right now?
It's currently 120.6.
Free real estate, dude. Free real estate.
Free.
Yeah.
Completely free.
Now, I want to ask you, do you try and stack him with anybody, or are you just kind of letting it ride?
So the good thing about Drake Maye is that you can backstack him if you go with him first, because you can always go Kyle Williams after that, then Hunter Henry. If you want to dabble in some Demario Douglas, you can do that as well. But you can actually stack him if you draft him first. Stephon Diggs' ADP is a little rich for me. I'm not going to lie. I think he's more important to Drake Maye than he is a great fantasy asset for 2025. But I've definitely dabbled in it now, just because I want to make sure I can set myself up for those Drake Maye stacks, because I want to be so much invested into Maye. The rushing is just amazing. Like you said, it's going to carry him into that top QB status.
Yeah, and great point on Stephon Diggs being better for a real life standpoint than a fantasy one, because I do like the drafting of him for the real life idea of, okay, like you bring him in and you stand him up and you say, okay, who thinks this guy's washed? Maybe some people do. But here's the truth, is that if he's washed or not, he is now the standard. Stephon Diggs is now the standard. He has the attitude. He's a veteran that's been in this league. He, as a Patriots fan, I have to say a guy that's almost won something, but he's won. he's won some. He's won a lot. And you stand him up over there, and you turn to Jalen Polk and Kyle Williams and Kayshon Boutte and Demario Douglas and all these guys, and say, this is now the bar that you need to get over, because we're only going to have 2 guys, maybe 3 on the field at any given time. Right now, this guy's one of them. This guy right here. So if you're not as good as this guy or better, or if you're not the second best guy besides this guy, then you're going to be, you're going to be done. You're going to be selling medical equipment or something like that, which isn't a bad job either. But it's not NFL football.
I'll do it.
You know what I mean?
I'll get paid for it.
I would do it too. I think I mentioned that because my buddy was in the NFL, and that's what he does now. Shout out Taylor.
Hey, good
Price,
for him.
Dude. Taylor Price can still throw a football so hard it'll hurt your friggin' palm. But, he was a wide receiver. But like, I'm saying these guys are freaks. But like that's the deal. Stephon Diggs is now the guy. So I do, as a Patriot fan, like it. I don't need him to catch 100 passes, but he was on pace to catch 100 passes last year before he got hurt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He was actually sneakily having a very good year before that injury. But Coop, you've got one more player for us. Let's hear it.
Yeah, let's get to the reason I'm really here now, which is to fight you. And then now here's the thing. People will think that I demanded to come on the show and I pushed my way in the door because of your tweet. But the reality is I sent you my players and you still sent out this tweet. Okay.
You're right. I did.
Firing shots at your own boy, dude. The call was coming from inside the house.
That's why we're friends. You could take it.
No, I can't. I would cry. I was upset. I texted other people behind your back. I was like, Wyatt's tweet. No, it wasn't even a mean tweet. It was a realistic tweet. And what you basically said is that people are getting over their skis on RJ Harvey. And I think that to some degree that can be true in a lot of formats. But for me, especially in best ball, I'm looking for unique cases that offer unique upside for this season. Okay. So for me in this format, forget Dynasty. When you throw Dynasty out the window, I don't care that this guy's 24. I don't care that he's
Right.
a converted quarterback. I think that that's actually a good thing because it means that we might not have been able to tap the ceiling, the complete ceiling yet. I don't care they got hurt 3 years ago, and that's why he had to spend extra time in college. He was great in college, and he was very fast. He was very good. He's very athletic. And he's very smart. I care about the landing spot in the immediate future for this year for best ball. So for me, I will actually draft RJ Harvey as the number 2 running back off the board from this rookie class after Ashton Genty, who is an absolute freakazoid, and he's just a next level prospect. I don't care about the talent level, and don't you roll your eyes like that, and don't you clip that, because I know you guys like to clip things and make me look stupid. Okay, so you clip him rolling his eyes, you're in big trouble behind the glass. So
I'm taking timestamp down.
me saying what I said, and then you rolling your eyes aggressively. But I'll tell you what, like Omarion Hampton, I think he's a supremely talented player, and I'm very excited for when Najee Harris is gone, and he has the opportunity to not be a split. I mean, Omarion Hampton, I love the fact that he's 220 pounds, like he's a true big bruiser, and he went to one of maybe 4 or 5 teams that actually have a back that's bigger than him. What are the odds? You know what I mean? Like the only guys that are 230 are who? Like Derrick Henry and Najee Harris, and like Ramondre and Saquon are close. But like, what the heck, man? I wanted this guy to be the big dog, but he's not even the big dog in his own backfield. I think they could end up splitting. And I love Travion Henderson, but I know again, Ramondre Stevenson, 227 pounds or whatever he is. And he could be the goal line guy. They could split. I mean, Patriots have a long history with Josh McDaniel of splitting the backfield. When I look at RJ Harvey, I mean, this guy's got the ability. He got the draft capital. He landed on a team that has Sean Payton and Joe Lombardi. These guys are the evil scientists of throwing the ball to the running back. I went and looked, Wyatt. Going back, I looked at first I pulled up every single team that Joe Lombardi's been an offensive coach for, whatever his role, running back coach, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, whatever it is. That goes back 18 seasons. Okay, from the Broncos to the Chargers to the Lions to the Saints. In all 18 of those seasons, that team has then been top 5 in passes to the running back. They have averaged to the running back group 164 targets. Last year, Javonte Williams was top 5 in running back targets. He's gone. Alvin Kamara was on a team buried behind Mark Andrews and Adrian Peterson, and they still said, this guy's good. Let's throw him the football. I think RJ Harvey immediately is the best pass catcher on that team. I think he's the best running back on the team flat out. I think that he's in a unique position to have a crazy breakout year. And if you're going to draft a 24-year-old back in the second round, what's the plan? To develop him so that he'll be good when he's 26? No, he's going out there. He's balling now. I'm fired up. Tell me why. Talk about, you said people were over their skis. I literally just went and did a double backflip, and now I've landed on the rail, and I'm doing like crazy, 360 on, 360 off on the rails. So tell me why I'm about to faceplant at the very end.
Well, so, okay, I'll say this. When Best Ball Mania first opened and he was going mid-70s, I thought, this makes sense. This is the right spot for RJ Harvey. But as he's begun to climb now, and he has now actually surpassed Trevion Henderson in ADP,
good.
It's just getting a bit too much for me. And I'll say that this is a player who could make me look foolish for fading him at this point, because it is there in front of him for him that he could just be a workhorse for Sean Payton, possibly in a way that we haven't seen a workhorse for him before, because Sean Payton has kind of always had multiple running backs doing things. Now, he's always given them enough opportunities that they both succeed, whatever the committee is doing together. But one, I didn't think he was as good of a prospect as some of these other running backs who went in the second round or in the first round. So just coming into it, I think that they have better chance to succeed in their situations with whatever they're given. And two, I'm not that confident that he is just going to get this workhorse role, that he's going to play third downs, that he's going to be the massive receiving back for the Broncos, because I'm not sure that he's that great at that particular skill set. I think he is a good receiver. I think can be capable as a pass blocker, but I don't know if he just walks in on day one and takes that job from everyone else in the roster. Now,
from who?
Who's on the people on the roster? Not that great, for being honest.
Yeah, okay.
Andre
name names,
Blake Watson. I think Blake Watson's still on the roster, right?
I think he is.
Not the biggest names out there. Maybe I because I coming into this process being lower on RJ Harvey than probably the general community, because It did take him so long in college to produce. I know all the excuses. Just those players who produce at a later age statistically have a lower chance of hitting in the NFL. It's just the way it is. Obviously, we have to adjust for context and all those things. My point is that because I think he was much worse as a prospect compared to Henderson, Judkins, Hampton, I can't quite get there with this ADP, even though he landed in a situation where you could argue it's better than the others.
Okay, let me tell you a little story, a little cautionary tale.
Okay.
There's a buddy of mine, went to college with him. His name's Tom Dunleavy. I don't mind name dropping him. He's a very sharp fellow, very good at fantasy football. He came to us and he said, you should buy this thing called Bitcoin. Okay. And we said, I don't know. And then when he came back to us and said, buy it, we turned around and we said, well, when you told us last time it was at like 20,000, but now it's at 50,000. He goes, well, you should buy some just to like have it. Right. Now he's the head of venture capitalist crypto at some various tech company. And, when we're sitting here talking about fantasy football, because we thought the price got too high from where it was earlier. So when you tell me that 70 is a bad price for RJ Harvey, and now he's at like wide receiver running back 22, I'm telling you, get a little bit. You don't have to go over your skis like me, dude. You don't have to go into the snowdrifts like me. Get a little bit just in case, because we're trying. You're going to draft 1 million teams. Are you going to max out this tournament? Or are you going to draft like at least like 50, 60, 70 of these?
I'm going to draft a lot of teams.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's the point of like when we say, oh, the best time, people are like arguing about the best time to draft these teams. Do you know how hard it is to draft 150 best ball teams? We have 4 months. I mean, like I have a kid. Like I'm drafting teams now because I know
slow drafts are my friend.
I'm drafting them now because I know I need to get them in now. And I'm telling you, get a little RJ Harvey. Just get a little bit, because I think his ADP is going to go even higher. I think it will, and get a little in now just in case, because you will agree that he does have a unique situation where he could get 100+ targets just because we've seen it with these guys. We've seen it with Kamara. We've seen it with Eckler. We saw it with Joique Bell and Theo Riddick and Reggie Bush. Dude, there was one year where all 3 of those guys got 50 targets. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if you get 70 targets, you're top 5 for running backs and targets. And we know that targets are king, man. So you don't have to. You can keep your tweet up. I saw the.
I'm definitely not deleting it for you.
I know you are. I was going to reply, and then I like scrolled through the replies, and I was like, dude, I'm not going. I'm not going. You have a unique ability to.
I get some people riled up occasionally. I'm pretty level-headed, and I still rile them up. I don't know.
You're like one of those bug zapper lights, dude, where it's like, and the thing is, you are very level-headed, and your tweets are too, but people just love getting in there and being like, no, it's like your tweet makes a lot of sense, but I'm saying in redraft, I might not even draft him, depending on how high he goes, but in a portfolio type game, I say that there's certain players that have such unique potential breaking upside that you have to have some, because you could draft the rest of your team entirely perfectly. And if this guy comes out and Joe Lombardi gives him 120 targets, then you'll lose, So it's like, you got to get a little bit, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. To be clear, it's not going to be a full fade for me. I have to get some exposure to him.
A little.
I don't know if I will get up to the 8% market share, that to meet the market the average player has exposure wise, but I definitely have to get some, because as I said, this moment you turned it over to me, he could make me look foolish.
It's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. So, and I'm getting, the thing is, I do this all the time where I load up on guys and then I stop drafting them when their ADP gets steamed up. Sometimes I can stop that. I did that last year with Brian Thomas Jr. I had so much pre-draft Brian Thomas Jr. My teams from Maye went really far. And when he got really steamed up, I took my foot off the gas a little bit, which is smart to some degree. But, the guys like this, I say at least get some now.
This is a very important note for best ball players out there. When you think a player is discounted and you're hammering their ADP and you're drafting, and they finally start to rise, don't stop drafting them just because they're starting to rise. If they're still at a discount to where you think they should be, keep drafting them.
Exactly.
Keep hammering it.
I made that mistake. I thought that he hit his ceiling, and he obviously did not, because I don't think anybody was drafting with wide receiver like 7 or wherever he finished. So.
Yeah, don't be like, well, I already got him at this price, so I don't need any more. No, if they're still at a price that you think is good, just keep drafting.
There you go.
But I've got one more player left. It's also a running back, much different price, from RJ Harvey, and I'm getting much more invested in him because of that. It's Tyler Allgeier. And I feel like we do this every year. He's one of the best handcuffs in the league, and he doesn't get drafted like it. I just don't understand. He's going in the 150s right now in Underdog, RB48. I mean, it's as simple as that. Top handcuff running backs are one of the biggest advantages you can have in fantasy football when you hit on them, because they come in at a cheap price, but they end up producing as RB1s when they get that opportunity. Yeah, Tyler Allgeier will require an injury to Bijan Robinson, but that's cool because this price means you're not worried about that not happening. He can occasionally give you even spike weeks with Robinson being healthy. Just because he's a talented running back, he occasionally gets in the end zone anyways. This one's just really simple for me. Top handcuff running back, but not being drafted like it.
Right. And he always looks good out there, doesn't he? And it's not just on the rundowns. Like, this guy's a good pass blocker. He's a good player. It just so happened that teams do this all the time to day 3 backs. And that's why it's so dangerous drafting in Dynasty. But there's certain guys that have that unique upside if something happens to the starter. And there's only so many pure handcuffs. Like, even now, Blake Corum, now they drafted Jarquez Hunter, maybe not even that type of guy, but like guys like Trey Benson and Tyler Allgeier. The thing is, in this range where Tyler Allgeier goes, there's nothing, bro. I mean, like, you could take that.
It's true. It's so true.
RB48, dude. It's like, I guess it's like you can't take the stab on Nick Chubb, or like, even the thing is, even guys like Jaden Blue, anyone that has a path, a path without injury is pretty much gone. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get like, this is real deep. And I think just people don't realize what the upside case is for the handcuffs behind the backs that truly get bell cow usage, right? So Kyron Williams, 87% snap share on average, which is obviously unheard of. Like, that's like, we haven't seen that since the CBA expanded the rosters. You know what I mean? It's just like, we haven't seen it. Like, it just doesn't happen. But Bijan Robinson was second at 75%. So if you have one guy playing 75% and you're building the team that way, you're not building like a group of guys. You've got this guy, and then if he gets hurt, you got the next guy, which is perfect. That's the true handcuff situation. Like, I do like guys. The thing is, the other guys go too early. Like, if you want to play that game with Charbonnet, where does he go? Charbonnet goes, like, I'm 50 picks higher than Allgeier, maybe.
Yep.
Like, legitimately, because there's only so many good running backs. So running back 30 is like, Charbonnet goes like running back 30. This guy goes running back 48. And you guys have been doing this with you and like Skylar and the crew. I know you guys have been preaching this for a while now to grab this particular guy, and it's going to hit big at some point. It really is.
Yeah, it's just that simple. There's only so many of these backup running backs that we know can handle full workload and produce with them when they get the opportunity, and he's one of them, and he's going behind some of the others. But that's going to do it for this episode, Coop. I appreciate you for coming on, hanging out, even though you wanted to talk about RJ Harvey. But before we get out of here, let everyone know what you've been working on, what you got going on, where to follow you, everything.
Yeah. So easy enough. Follow me at Coupe Fiasco on Twitter. If you like these takes, I usually do my best to get a lot of stuff out there for free. If you just want the shortcut to everything I talked about here and more, you can just either get a membership that has everything, or you can just buy our best ball cheat sheet. It's up now. It's $10. And there's two flavors of it. There's all the players ranked in their individual position. And then I do this other thing where I take a grid and I have the 4 positions, and I go through and I put 6 players in each tier. 6, 6, 6. And that gives you a better idea of when to draft your first quarterback, when to draft your first tight end. Some of the tiers are just 6 wide receivers, where I just say, hey, if you're in this section of the draft, you should take a wide receiver, because we like you. It's funny that it's like, just like we talked about on the tiered thing, there's that group of like Joe Mixon, Kamara, Kenneth Walker. I just love them all, and they're just bunched right there. And it's like, hey, get one of these guys while you're here. And you know what I mean? So it's like, it really helps you visualize it better. I go through, and if you do buy that cheat sheet and you want me to send you the Excel so you can have it on your second screen like I do, and click stuff off, hit me up at Twitter at Coupe Fiasco. I'll also be dropping an article on Fast Draft this week. I encourage everyone to play, because I want these drafts to fire when I'm going in there and logging in. So I need more people playing. That's why I'm writing the article. I actually want more people play so that the drafts are firing. So that's what I got going on, man. Thank you for having me on, dude. Always love chatting. I'll just go back to chatting with you in our chat. But it is fun to get on here and chat with you here.
Appreciate you again, everyone out there. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at YP_FF. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, all things player profiler, checking out Fast Draft, doing all those things. I appreciate you. We'll see you later.